Welcome back to AM Sports Cover 4. Jay, we are going to continue our coverage of college football. And up next are the Florida State Seminoles. Now, of course, everybody knows that I am a graduate of Florida State, so that is my squadron. And I know a whole lot about what's going on there in Tallahassee. Now, coming off of a 13-0 season, Jay, was bittersweet there at the end, considering we got the snub from the College Football Playoff Committee. And we ended up facing Georgia in the Orange Bowl with many of our players not even available to play or deciding that they were going to move on because, according to the College Football Playoff Committee, winning didn't matter. Now, Jay, I want to run through a list of players here very quickly because I want people to really understand what Florida State is going through this particular year with the level of turnover that we have, particularly when you think about the top level talent at Florida State. So, who is leaving the team? Jordan Travis, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Jaheim Bell, Trey Benson, Jerrion Jones, Akeem Dent, Fabian Lovin, Kalen DeLoach, Jarrett Verse, Renardo Green, Tatum Bethune, and Braden Fisk. And that is the vast majority of our production last year. So it will be a challenge for Florida State moving into the 2024 season with that level of turnover. There's no way we are going to go 13-0 again. Now, did Florida State do some things in the transfer portal? Well, of course they did. And Mike Norvell has shown that he is very adept at getting top-level talent out of the transfer portal. But in this particular case, I think it was a little bit different than what we've seen from last couple of years. Actually, I can't even say that because a lot of the talent that we have that is leaving the team, they were unproven when they came to Florida State as well. So Mike Norvell and the team and the coaching staff have done a good job of taking talent and making sure that that talent and their abilities are reached at Florida State. So we brought in TJ Ferguson, Malik Benson, Earl Little Jr., Marvin Jones, Sean Murphy, Roydell Williams, and DJU. We also brought in another couple of defensive linemen, of which I'm not going to even try to pronounce their names because I don't want to embarrass myself right now. But definitely some good talent that they brought in. Some a talent like, DJU, established talent within college football. Other talent like Earl Little Jr. and Sean Murphy, they have not necessarily materialized at the schools that they were at, but they have a lot of upside. If I had to guess, Jay, this year for Florida State, personally, I think they may go 9-3 or something to that effect. I like what Miami did this year, not only in the recruiting class, but they were able to bring in a top-level quarterback in Cam Ward. That's one thing that Miami was missing last year outside of coaching, which that's something that's not going to get replaced this year. But as far as the quarterback play, and the defensive line, you guys are bringing back a very attractive defensive line there. So I think Miami is going to be a tough win for Florida State. So I think I have Florida State losing that game. I think we end up beating Clemson, but we'll see because with all the turnover, we got to see what happens coming out of the spring and of course the spring transfer portal if we pick up some additional talent there. But right now, I got that team going 9-3. I think the coaching staff they're going to do a tremendous job in bringing in that talent and making sure that talent is up to snuff. However, the recruiting is going to have to pick up from a Florida State perspective. I don't like what I'm seeing from a recruiting standpoint. I think we got to get better at the recruiting aspect of things, specifically in the trenches. And I think Miami has done a great job there with Mario Cristobal in terms of talent acquisition, something that Florida State is going to have to do if they want to continue to be competitive relative to the college landscape. So those are my thoughts on Florida State. Jay, what's your thoughts?
Well, for Florida State, with them, what they did in the transfer portal was they did the damn thing in the transfer portal. They really needed to because of how much production, as you just alluded to, as they lost. Now, my concern with Florida State, is the fact that the bowl game, I was looking to see how those backup players will play because I'm assuming a lot of them will be big contributors to your upcoming season, right? You tell me if I'm wrong because, that's your squad. I don't know all the names and everything, but watching that, I was watching more in watching the trenches. That's always the biggest concern. That's being Miami Hurricane fan, knowing that we didn't have any good trenches for a while. That's where you build a team from the inside out. Because if you can't protect your quarterback or you can't get to the quarterback, you ain't gonna win no games. That's why Brandon Fisk was such a big deal for y'all last year. He came in there, he wrecked shop. He did the damn thing for y'all. So seeing how y'all looked against Georgia in that bowl game, I know it was a lot of disheartening. I know y'all didn't have a lot of players. I know it was a lot of continuity missing because y'all had a lot of backups in there. I just wonder how that's going to look for y'all this upcoming season. Will those guys be key contributors? And then the guys y'all got in the transfer portal, some of them are improving. You know, I like the Earl Little. I knew he was coming to y'all because y'all his head coach from high school is y'all DB coach. You know, we wanted him out of my mind because we watched him. He went to American Heritage. The kid can play. He didn't get a lot of burn at all Alabama. So everybody that y'all got, the men that had a lot of burn last year, doesn't mean that they weren't good. Sometimes if you're stacking talent, you're good, but you're just behind a better person. And you're still a damn good player. So that could be the situation for Florida State. I don't know. They're going to have a chance to prove themselves this year. Now, looking at y'all schedule, y'all open up with Georgia Tech, then Boston College. Then y'all got an early bye week. I hate when teams get early bye weeks. I don't like that for my squad, but looks like y'all got 3 bye weeks this year.
Yeah, because
so
because of the Georgia Tech. The Georgia Tech game is in Ireland, so they're going to have to travel. That's the reason why the schedule is set up as the way it is.
Okay. Yeah, and plus with the ACC adding the teams from the West Coast, they had to give us a little bit more time for kids to get acclimated from time zone and get a little bit more rest. I would assume that would be another reason why you have 3 bye weeks instead of number 1, the 2. But look at your schedule. The teams I see probably giving you guys some trouble. Clemson is always going to be a hard out no matter what. That's one thing that you guys have a rivalry in the ACC because you guys have been between you and Clemson have been really the main ones when it going to the ACC championship and being the representative from the ACC.
Yep.
So Clemson, Miami, y'all coming to Miami, and Miami has retooled. We'll see how things look. You know, I love the fact that Miami did get Cam Ward. Me and you have been talking offline about who we thought was going to be there and everything, who we didn't want, who we thought would be a threat to our squad individually. We thought Cam Ward would be a tough out because y'all would have loved to have him as well. DJU is going to be interesting for me because I saw him at Clemson. I wasn't too impressed out of him at Clemson. He did get better at Oregon State. His 1 year at Oregon State. I believe he had 1 year at Oregon State, if I'm not mistaken.
Just one year.
Better. So he did get better, but so, you know, he's going to get a chance to prove himself all over again. He's going to be back in familiar territory, being back in the ACC. So he's going to be familiar with all the teams that he's going to be playing for the most part. He's going to have vendetta against Clemson as well when they go to Clemson. So we'll see how he goes, but it's just the amount of production you guys lost and the continuity you had, because you had a consistent person back there in Jordan Travis at the quarterback before he got hurt. So you had someone else consistent. You knew what you're going to get. You knew he was going to fight tooth and nail to the end. That's one thing I always gave by him. You know, when you joke, called him a little fizz and whatnot, but the kid could ball. You know, losing Trey Benson, that's an impact just because of what he did last year. But one thing I know from watching Florida State over the years, you guys have never had an issue getting running backs. You've never had an issue with getting running backs, in my opinion. Putting someone in there and having someone that can do some work back there. So as far as looking at your schedule, I could see 8 to 9 wins. I could also see the worst case scenario, depending on how I really think it's depending on how DJU plays at quarterback for y'all. I could see y'all winning as many as 9 games, but I could also see y'all winning as many as 6. And it's mainly because of the production you lost and depending on how DJU plays that quarterback.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. We're not going to win 6 games. Nah. I think the floor is 9. I really do. I think the teams that we're going to struggle with, and rightfully so, just considering Miami's defensive line, that will be a challenging game. Clemson, again, defensive line, that will be a challenging game, although I don't believe their offense is going to be any better than what we saw in the previous year. And I think Notre Dame is going to be a challenging game as well, Saturday, November 9th. Those are the games that I believe that we're going to really be challenged. I mean, could there be a fluke loss somewhere else along the lines here? Maybe. You never know. But I don't believe that it's going to happen. So we'll see what ends up happening. DJU, I think, is going to be
two fluky ones for whoever's playing them this year, and that is SMU because of the type of up-tempo offense they run.
Mm-hmm.
and possibly Memphis. Those are two
Yeah.
sleeper teams.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah, DJU, I think DJU is going to play up to snuff, to be quite honest with you. I saw him with a he looked like he has a hand injury, but it shouldn't be too tough. But at the end of the day, Florida State, I got him going somewhere between 10-2 and 9-3. But we'll see what ends up happening. Like I mentioned before, I feel that the coaching staff does an excellent job in terms of bringing in talent and making sure that talent acclimates to the organization, the culture, and I don't think we're going to see anything any different in 2024. You guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to the Florida State Seminoles. Where do you have them going in 2024? We appreciate you guys joining us. This has been AM Sports Cover 4, and we are out.